In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 4 habits that are causing you to overeat, which you probably didn't even realize. If one of your goals is to start eating healthier and stop overeating, then you clicked on the right video. I'm not only going to tell you how to identify your unhealthy eating habits, but I'm also going to tell you what you can do to change those and turn them into healthy eating habits. And by understanding how to do this, you'll be able to not overeat as much, stop feeling bad around food, and also have a more sustainable way of eating. And make sure you stay to the end because the last habit is something that I've discovered recently, and it's something that I feel like not enough people talk about. So habit number 1 that is causing you to overeat is something that I used to do almost every day. So I used to do this thinking that it would help me cut down on my calories and help me lose weight, but I was completely wrong. So the first habit that might be causing you to overeat is that you intentionally skip breakfast just because you want to lose weight. So for the longest time, I would wake up in the morning and not have my breakfast. Because I used to not like waking up early, I would literally get up at the latest time possible and not give myself enough time in the morning to have breakfast before going to class. And then I would only be able to eat once it got to lunchtime, and by the time lunch came around, I would be so hungry that I would actually end up overeating during lunchtime. So because I wasn't hungry as soon as I woke up, I kind of told myself like, oh great, this is an opportunity for me to just not eat because I wanted to lose weight, right? And this is where I got it all wrong, because when we skip breakfast, we can end up actually snacking more throughout the day, and our appetite can actually be increased later on during the day. And this is because our bodies are incredibly smart and it's so good at regulating itself. So if you eat less in the mornings, your body will pick up on that, and it can actually increase your appetite later on and make you snack more and make it more likely for you to overeat, because this is our body's really smart way of trying to stay in balance. So what I like to do now is I like to make overnight oats and I bring it with me to work, and I would be able to have it like 1 or 2 hours after waking up. So then that way I'm not forcing myself to eat as soon as I wake up, because I'm usually not hungry as soon as I wake up, but I give myself a bit of time and I only have something to eat like, once I start to get a little bit hungry. But I'm no longer intentionally trying to skip my breakfast just because I want to lose weight. And I found that now that I'm doing this, I actually don't get as hungry when it comes to lunchtime, and I actually don't end up eating as much as I used to in the evenings. And in my overnight oats, I like to add some source of protein, whether that's yogurt or protein powder, because protein added to your breakfast is not only gonna reduce your appetite throughout the day, but it's also gonna reduce your cravings and reduce your chances of overeating. But I totally get that everyone is different, and you might not even be the kind of person who eats breakfast, like you might not be used to that at all. But if you're not hungry in the mornings and you don't want to eat something, then don't force yourself. But I would say that if you are getting hungry in the morning, then don't just skip breakfast just for the sake of trying to lose weight. So the second habit that might be causing you to overeat is something that actually a lot of people do, and I feel like this is something that's been really normalized, and I myself included have kind of normalized this and kind of like overlooked it until recently. But it might not even occur to you that this is a habit just because it's like such a normal thing. But it's definitely something that you should pay attention to, because it could be making you eat more than you have to. So that habit is that you always eat something immediately after finishing your meal or a snack. For instance, the very common thing that a lot of people do is that they'll have a dessert or treat right after having their dinner. And I'm not saying that this is bad, because I definitely do this as well, but this can be a little bit more harmful if you're doing it out of an automatic habit and it's something that you're not even being intentional about. But honestly, this happens to me even till this day. I have to constantly remind myself of this, but a lot of the times after I've just had a meal or a snack, my brain would be like, okay, what's the next thing that I want to eat? And I often have to kind of catch myself and be like, where did this thought come from? Like, I literally just finished eating. I don't need more food right now. Like, I'm full, I'm satisfied, and I don't need to have something else right now. So it's something that I still have to remind myself of, and it's still something that I have to pay attention to. But here's why I think this happens, is because we don't want the experience of eating to end. So when we eat, our brain is getting so much release of dopamine that after the experience of eating ends, our brain is like, no, like I want more, you know? But in reality, you probably don't even need any more food because you've just eaten and your tummy's a little bit full and your body just doesn't need any more food. What I like to do when I get this kind of urge to eat right after I've just had my meal is that I would tell myself that I can always come back for more, and I would set like a 15-minute timer, or I would remove myself from the environment. Like I would do my dishes, get out of the kitchen, and then go do something else. Like I'll go take a shower or just like go upstairs and do something else, right? And then after about 15 to 20 minutes, I would reevaluate and ask myself whether I still want to have something to eat. Because sometimes I'll reevaluate and I might be like, you know what, I do want something to eat. I do want to have that treat, you know, I do want to have that ice cream, whatever. And that's fine. I'll let myself have it. But sometimes I actually reevaluate and I'm like, I actually don't feel like eating anymore. Like I'm full, I'm satisfied, I don't want to eat anymore. And then I just don't eat. In those cases, I'm actually so grateful that I've taken the time to do this, and I've kind of taken the time to let myself be more intentional with what I want to eat, because I'm not just making it an automatic behavior. Like when I eat something, I don't want to eat it just because my brain is conditioned to doing it. Like I don't want to do it just because I'm doing it out of habit, but I want to be more intentional about what I'm eating, and I want to eat it and fully enjoy it and appreciate what I'm eating. Because the good thing about waiting a little while before having another treat is that you give your body a little bit of time to digest the food that you've just had, so then you can actually enjoy the food that you're about to have more, because you're not feeling overly stuffed. And if you need help with this and you're finding it difficult to break this habit, then I definitely recommend you use my craving tool. It's completely free, linked down below, but it only takes a few minutes to complete, and it can definitely help you be more intentional with what you're eating. This third habit that might be causing you to overeat is something that I've definitely also been guilty of. Growing up, you may have been told by your parents that there's children in Africa that are starving and you should finish all of your food and you should never ever waste food, always eat everything on your plate. And if you can relate to this, then you may be in the habit of always finishing everything that's on your plate. And I don't want to say that it's good to waste food, but if you always feel like you have to finish everything on your plate because you don't want to waste food, then I want to challenge you to look at this from a different perspective. Just think about it this way, because if you are finishing everything that's on your plate, you're kind of treating your body like a trash can. You might be like, oh, like I don't want to waste the food, you know, but either way, the food is technically going to be wasted, because if the food ends up in your body and it's food that you don't actually need, then it's going to be stored as excess energy that it's going to be turned into excess fat that your body doesn't want to carry. So in that sense, you're actually wasting the food that could be saved for a later time when your body actually needs it and your body can actually utilize it. So it's not only wasted in that sense, but it can also be bad for your health, because you're giving your body more of what it doesn't actually need. And this is why it's so important to pay attention to your fullness signals and to practice mindful eating. If you're interested in learning more about this, I'm going to be releasing some kind of mindful eating guide. There's this traditional Japanese practice that's called Attribution. It basically means to stop eating when you're 80% full. It's kind of a mindful eating approach where you're not eating until you're 100% full, because it can take some time for your body and your gut to send signals to your brain telling your brain that it's full and telling your brain to stop eating. But I must admit, it might be kind of hard for you to know when is 80% full, when is 100% full. And what I like to do to think about this is to get your regular portion of food, right? But then set aside like 20% of that and basically just stop eating when you've had 80% of the food that's on your plate. And then check in with yourself and ask yourself if you still want to eat more and whether you're satisfied or not. If you're someone who's already eating really little and you're restricting yourself, then don't do this, because this is only for those people who are struggling with getting overly full during their meal times. I know that it can feel wrong to waste food, but just think of this as something that you're doing for your health, because your health is the most important thing that you should be prioritizing. So if taking care of your health means that you have to waste food, then I guess that's something for you to decide. So the final habit is one that I've only come to realize recently, and it's actually something that I've never heard anyone else online talk about. Basically, if you didn't already know, I'm a dietitian and I work at a hospital in an office full of other dietitians, right? And what we do is in the office, we usually have a bunch of treats and snacks in the middle of the office. So all of us dietitians will usually bring stuff in to the office for everyone to have. Sometimes people will bake stuff, sometimes people will buy stuff from the shops, but it's usually not like super healthy things. So you'll have like cakes and biscuits and chocolates and all of those things in the middle of the table. So this final habit that might be causing you to overeat that you don't even realize is that you eat something just because it's free. And I'm kind of asking myself, why does this happen? Like, why do I want to eat something so badly just because it's free? You know, I could just afford it myself. Like, if I wanted to eat that, I could just buy it from the shop. But I realized that it's because I have a lacking mindset around food. You know how you have money and you can have like a lacking mindset around money, or you can have an abundance mindset around money? The same thing applies to food as well. Since it's technically free, my mind is like, oh my god, it's free, I need to have this. Because if you have a lacking mindset around food, then you will kind of use every opportunity you can to take advantage of like free food. If you have an abundance mindset around food, on the other hand, then you won't feel this need to like always take advantage of free food. You won't feel obligated to eat something just because it's free or just because it's available and it's there for you to have. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my sweet treats and I love my little, my little goodies, but there's always going to be snacks there, and if I'm eating from that every single time, that's gonna cause me to overeat. I don't want it to be a subconscious thing where I eat it just because it's free. So what I've been trying to do is that I would ask myself, if I had to pay for this, would I still want to eat it? And that kind of helps me get out of that mindset of eating it just because it's free and just because I want to like take advantage of that, and I don't want to waste that opportunity to eat, I want to eat something because I'm curious to try it, or because I'm actually feeling slightly hungry and because I actually want to eat that thing. But yeah, this is something that I'm still working on. Even though we're an entire office full of dietitians, we like to have our treats because we know that it's okay to have it in moderation. We might not realize it, but all of these habits come down to our mindset around food, and it can often be that our mindset is that we're having this lack mindset around food, that there's not enough food around, that we need to like try to eat as much as we can in every given opportunity, but that's not the case at all. If you found this helpful, then you need to watch my video on the one mindset shift you need to make to have more self-control around food. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.